Okay, thank you for joining us this morning for this wonderful webinar. I'll get started with some introductions to what our creative team can do for you and how your IAMS team has the back-end support to be able to fulfill your marketing needs and what you would like to do from a marketing end of the business. So just to start, this is kind of an overview of what we provide, some turnkey solutions, some agency solutions, and of course, like we'll be talking on this webinar, some digital solutions. If you have any questions about any of these, let me know and I'll answer them at the end of the webinar, as well as any other questions that you have about email marketing. And I'll be giving an overview here of these different aspects that we can provide services for you. So to start off with our Turnkey Solutions, you can visit that URL at the bottom of the screen. You can also go to our website and find it in our creative marketing section. We provide different newsletters, different handouts, different trifolds, different little pamphlets for you. It's pretty easy for us to provide the service to you in an efficient manner. So if you think it might be a burden on us to turn it around for you if you don't produce with us as much, don't shy away from reaching out to us and asking for a retirement roadmap brochure or something like that. We can definitely help. There's no level of agent that this is restricted to. This is for anybody that needs help with content, with providing content, with having a handout to give out to their potential clients or to just have around the office. These are two examples of the turnkey solutions. As you can tell, we brand it specifically for your agency. If you also need any branding help, any logo design, stationery, business cards, advertising, as you saw in those turnkey solutions, there's a spot for your logo. We can help you develop that. We can develop your whole brand identity. We also have a wonderful webinar on our YouTube channel that Tasia put on last month about branding and the importance of branding and just kind of steps of branding. These are a couple logos that we've helped other agents develop. We also have a bevy of already made logos that you could just pick one and then we could brand it for your specific agency if you would like. These are some examples of some of the business cards that we provide. Business cards can sometimes be more difficult to create just because how do you create a touch point with a potential client so that they don't just throw away the business card, that they actually keep it, that they look at it later. So that's kind of what we do to help develop your brand on the business card end. For digital solutions, we provide anything from email marketing strategy to social media consulting and Facebook advertisement help. If you want to do any Facebook ads, give us a call, 800-255-5055, and we can definitely help you with that. We also provide digital graphics and website development. So this is our Life and Annuity Academy. It's a fantastic 2-day producer training event. We actually have it coming up this week if you were invited to that one. If you missed out on that one, have no fear. There's one coming up in May 23rd through the 25th, I believe, of 2018. If you have any questions, give us a call. I'm going to run a quick poll just wondering if you're interested in our Life and Annuity Academy. You can click yes or no, but we will be having one in May in our Omaha home office. So if you want to visit us, see what's going on in our home office, just kind of meet everybody, see what work environment we're in, or just be treated to our wonderful facility here, just let us know. It's all expense paid. All of your dinners, all of your flight, airfare, all of your hotel lodging, everything's paid for. Well, I'll leave that going for a couple more seconds here. Thank you to everybody that voted, and we'll be reaching out to those that did respond yes to that. Okay. So let's get on to the bulk of the presentation here, how to execute an email drip campaign. This can be a little scary for some, and it can create a lot of work, but it's all front loaded work. So once you create a drip campaign, um, you can keep on using it. The only thing that you may need to update is the content within the drip campaign, but in general, you can have it running forever. I'll go over an overview quick of what we'll be covering. So I'll start out by going with how this fits into your marketing strategy. Not necessarily your sales strategy, but specifically your marketing strategy on how this can help warm up your leads. I'll go over some do's and don'ts of email marketing, just in general, just some specifics on what we should do for a foundation on your email marketing campaigns. And then I'll go over some suggested email tools. A lot of these tools, you can set up email marketing campaigns within them for automation. You can set up drip campaigns within these email tools. I think I go over 5 email tools, and they range from being free to being $20, $50 a month, just depending on your list size and how many emails you want to send. And then I'll go through an email drip campaign example. I'll go over what entails an email drip campaign, what an email drip campaign even is. I'll go over 2 examples. One is a more in-depth email drip campaign, one that we use in-house, and then another one is one that you might use for more scheduling out appointments or something like that with potential prospects. And then I'll answer any questions that you may have. So here is a email marketing or a digital marketing funnel, just in general, a digital marketing funnel. And as you can see, it usually starts with exposure, and in this comes email marketing, and drip campaigns. So the drip campaigns can go throughout this whole process of first introducing yourself to your potential client. Let's say that you get a bunch of emails over time just from your network, and let's say one client refers another individual and then you receive their email. Well, you send them a greeting email, and then you kind of slowly work them into the idea of, hey, these are the services I can provide for you. This is how I can offer value to your portfolio. So let's start with some do's and don'ts of email marketing. So first, have a plan, create a strategy. So that's kind of the foundation of everything for drip marketing. You need to have a why of what you're doing and an actual follow through of that. You need to segment your database. So let's say that you have new clients versus already established relationships. You will treat those 2 groups of individuals completely differently on how you market them, specifically email. And you can get even more granular than that. You can get into if you have clients that are just in Wisconsin, or you have clients that are just in Nevada, or just Florida clients. There are some products that you could let your clients know that aren't offered in some of those states, so you can really get granular with how you segment for your clients. And keep it personal. So one suggestion that I give a lot of agents is to have one of the emails that you send out be essentially from your wife, where you say, or from your husband, of this is their favorite recipe, this is the instruction of the recipe. You can make your brownies at home as well, something like that, just to give a little bit of your personality, maybe even one of your favorite recipes. It doesn't have to be your spouse's. And use automation. We'll be going over that pretty soon here. And run A/B tests and track your results. So this is very key, especially for segmenting and doing email marketing campaigns, as these drip campaigns can be used over years of time, and you'll see over time which emails do work and which emails don't work, and you can change up the messaging in each email to try to create a more effective email campaign, just by changing little things over time. And finally, do try to be helpful. That's kind of the biggest thing for marketing, is being helpful. If that means providing value that you don't get much in return, that's kind of where we need to start sometimes. If that's providing them with one of our turnkey solutions, just with your branding, maybe a retirement roadmap brochure or something like that, and then all you receive is their first name, last name, and email, or first name, last name, phone number, or something very simple. So that's kind of where we need to start. We need to start with providing value and being okay with giving up more than we receive. And then lastly, keep it mobile. Keep mobile in mind for sure. Sometimes we think, okay, this email looks great on my computer screen from the developer, but is it mobile friendly? And most of the tools that I'll be going over later are mobile friendly already. And don't do lists. Don't buy lists. Please don't buy lists. The moment you buy a list is the moment Google starts chasing you and tries to get you to just land all your emails in spam. Even if you're just sending an email to a client, just one single email, that could end up going to spam if you do buy a list. So please be careful with your list and with who you're contacting. Also, don't spam or try to sell. This kind of goes along with the be helpful earlier. We're trying to market to these individuals, not sell them, or we're not trying to send them a million emails. So be careful with that. And don't send without testing. One of the worst things ever is to send an email with a typo or to send an email with the wrong link in it. If you send an email with the wrong information, then you will not receive what you intended to be displayed. So if you have them going to your website and there's a link in it that doesn't work, it's a broken link to your website, they won't go to your website. They'll just receive your email and then they won't go anywhere. So make sure you test your emails. And then don't keep doing the same thing. This is can be very damaging if you keep, let's say that you set up a marketing campaign, you set up a drip campaign, and you just let it run, which is fine. But if you keep letting it run over time, it'll get stagnant, it will stale, maybe the information will get old. It won't be as effective over time if you don't change it up a little bit. Either offer an updated, maybe a tax form or something like that, where it's a 2018 tax form, and then next year you'll have to update it to the 2019. So just little things like that sometimes. And then please do not mass market out of Outlook or Gmail, or whatever email client you have, AOL, Yahoo, what have you. Please do not do that. They're not meant for that, and because they're not meant for that, you will get flagged as spam, and it will impact your personal email as well as being able to send to your clients that aren't necessarily on board yet. So just be wary of all of these. So here are some suggested tools. So first one, Constant Contact, lovely tool, very easy. I believe they do have like a free trial sample period that you can do, so you can see kind of what the tool looks like. This is a great UI in it, user interface, very easy to use. And Campaigner is a great one as well. You get a little bit more contacts than you did with Constant Contact, and you can integrate it as well. You can integrate most of these, but that is a great tool. Campaign Monitor, this is a lovely tool. It's a little bit cheaper than the rest of them, but it's also a very, very good tool as well. Get Response, this is another tool I've seen some agents use. And then one of the more popular ones is MailChimp. It starts out as free, and then if you want to work your way up, they also just introduced landing pages. So if you want to have landing pages through MailChimp, you can do that as well. You can also integrate your Facebook advertising efforts through MailChimp. If you have any questions about any of these, give us a call, 800-255-5055, and I can answer any questions that you have, or if you're wondering about some program that you're currently using, if it's the right program for you, just give us a call. There's so many different email clients that you can use that range in difficulty and accessibility. So just let me know and we can help you decide on which one is best for you. So what is a drip campaign? So a drip campaign is essentially a series of automated pre-written emails sent to your contacts over time. So this means that you're not sitting there weekly trying to figure out, okay, which emails do I send to who, when, what is going on. So you've already done the bulk of the work ahead of time, and it just slowly sends to your contacts over time. I'll give an example in the next bit of it's a 3-part email drip campaign. And all you do is write 3 emails, and then in each of those 3 emails, you write 3 different subject lines. And then so that the messaging is fresh, and then that's all you do. And then you set it up, you put your contacts in, you have new contacts going in, and it does the work for you. So one of the main purposes of a drip campaign is to build a relationship with a prospect. It's to have the prospect know you, to know you a little bit more, to hopefully like you, and to eventually trust you into becoming a client. So we're developing a relationship without the work. We're creating an environment where it's almost like you're a celebrity. That's kind of what we're aiming for, where they know more about you than you know about them, which is okay. And it creates a level of trust that's almost one-sided, where you don't have that same level of trust with them, but they are reading your content. And if you do it properly, they'll feel like it's individualized to them specifically, so that they feel appreciated. And then the magic of all this is that it creates constant touch points to build that relationship with your leads, to cultivate your leads. And the wonderful thing about this is that sometimes you don't really know when the best time is to really touch point with a client. So maybe you want to sell them long-term healthcare or something like that, and they're just not interested. And then a month or 2 later, one of their friends is diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and then they have a scare themselves, and they're like, okay, maybe I should start investing in long-term care. Maybe that would be beneficial for me. And then they go to their work, and then they just completely forget about it. But then if you have them in an automated campaign, they'll receive an email eventually from you regarding that particular product or something else. And then they'll remember, oh yeah, the individual had mentioned long-term care to me earlier. Maybe I need to reply to their email. So a couple of benefits from a drip campaign is that it's a long sales cycle. So if you are constantly chasing after these clients and then it gets kind of tiring, well, this is built for that. It's built for constantly touching point on your clients or your leads for you. It saves you time because you don't have to worry about, okay, what am I doing to keep contact with these 1,000 leads? It can take a lot of time to call each individual one up. And a lot of times they won't even answer the phone sometimes, especially with caller ID nowadays. And this just makes it so that you're continuously grooming those leads. And it helps build trust, as I mentioned earlier, where they see you as the professional. They read about your article that you wrote, or they read about something that you created through a brochure or we helped you create, and they see you as a professional. They see you as a source of information for that. And in the end, the goal is to increase your sales. It's to increase your clients and your consumers. So a great comparison to drip campaigns is drip irrigation, where it's just slowly over time you're feeding them. You're feeding them information, and then hopefully eventually they grow, and then you can harvest the crop. So that's kind of the comparison with a drip campaign. So this is an email drip campaign example. As I mentioned before, this is a 3-step process, and each one of these emails that you will create, or we can help you create as well, has 3 different subject lines. And if you have any questions about this, it can get a little bit confusing. So let me know, and we can also help you as well with cultivating an idea of what would be the best way to have a drip campaign. So, and in each one of these email examples that there would be, it's all going to one goal of converting the contact. So you first start with your first email 1, with subject line A, So that's your first one. Now, if they don't open, let's say that they don't even open the email, they don't read the content, they don't see it at all. But then we send them another email, 1B, and this one has the second subject line. So hopefully this subject line, the last subject line, obviously was not enticing enough for them to even open the email. So hopefully this one is enticing enough. And then if that one's not enticing enough, we send them another email with this separate subject line. Now, the beauty of automation is that all you had to do was write one email and then 3 subject lines, and then you're already sending them 3 emails over 3 weeks or 3 months, depending on how often you want to touch these contacts. And all you had to do was set it up, put their name into the database, and then the system does the rest. You don't have to worry about, okay, this month I'm sending this email to this client, this email to this client, this email to this client. You don't have to worry about any of that. It does it automatically for you. And I always use this 3 strikes you're out rule. So if somebody doesn't open your email after 3 sends, chances are either they're not interested or it's a bad email. They wrote it down wrong, or you put it in your system wrong. You might want to check, maybe give them a call, ask them if they're receiving your emails, and maybe they did open it, but it just didn't register in the system. Well, if they did open it, but they didn't click on anything, if they didn't do your call to action, if they didn't actually download the retirement brochure and give you more information about themselves, or maybe you want the call to action to be calling you or something like that, well, then you'll send them a different email with different email copy, but with the same target. So let's say that in the first email, you're trying to get individuals to call in. Well, you're still doing that in the second email, you're just using different email copy. So like, let's say that you're trying to sell somebody a pen. In the first email, you might say, this is a fantastic pen, it beats all the competitors, there's no other pen like it. In the second email, you might say why the particular ink that you're using in the pen is beneficial. So it's still selling the same thing, it's just using different verbiage in a different way. And then you'll repeat the same process as you did in email 1 with email 2. And then you'll do a third email. And like I said earlier, I always use the premise of 3 strikes you're out. So we're doing, if you send them 1 email, 2 email, and then the third email, and they open it and they still don't click anything, well, maybe you should give them a call. But something in that email is not enticing enough for them. So usually I just say, okay, then we're not going to send any emails to you anymore. And then we repeat the same process for the third email for if they don't open it. So if somebody goes through this whole process and they don't open the first email or the second email, but then they open the third email, don't click on it, and then do the same thing for the rest of them, they could potentially get 9 emails over however long span you're trying to deliver this email campaign for. Maybe that's 9 months, maybe it's 9 weeks, maybe it's you send an email out every quarter. So these drip campaigns can last a long, long time, depending on how you set it up. And there's also, you can do simpler ones where it's just 2 emails, or you do 3 emails but only 2 subject lines, or maybe you just do 3 emails and you don't worry about the subject lines, or maybe you just do 1 email with 3 subject lines. That's kind of up to you. And the end goal of it is always to have a conversion. And the beautiful thing about this setup is that it doesn't have to come, the conversion doesn't have to come at the last email. It can come at any email in the process, whether that's right away at email 1, or maybe it's at the third subject line of email 1, maybe it's the second subject line of email 2, or maybe it's that last one, that very last one of the third subject line on email 3. So yes, you can lose some contacts through this process of they're just not responding, or they just don't really seem like they care for the message that you're providing, or it could click at any moment. Maybe they receive email 2B and it just happens to be they're turning 65 and they really need some help with an annuity that they're trying to set up. Well, that just happens to be they're receiving the right email at the right time. And sometimes that's all it takes, is just a little drip here and there, and just really touching point at the best time. And this is kind of a little simpler email drip campaign. This is one that you could use just if you're setting up an appointment with somebody, where you're trying to set it. Just maybe you're just trying to get lunch with them, or maybe just a copy. And you can set these up as well. If you have multiple contacts, you can just plop them into the system. You could have it where it customizes their first name, it customizes the day of the week that you're scheduled for, and depending on how your CRM is, you can also have it pull from there, and then it will just go down the line of, hey, are we still free for lunch? Are we still on tomorrow? Sorry, yesterday didn't work out. So that's just kind of a little bit of how you could use a drip campaign, a little bit simpler than what I previously stated. And then for your drip campaign, I just wanted to go over some messaging tips real quick. I understand that making an email campaign can be a little bit confusing at times, but I'll go over 4 quick points, and then I'll ask if there's any questions, and then you will wrap it up here. So one tip, keep it 50 to 125 words. You want to be concise in your messaging, so don't put on a really long email. Individuals usually skim read, so use bullet points. Keep it short and sweet, and just try to not bore whoever's reading it. Be specific to your audience. I spoke on segmentation earlier, so if you have one group of individuals that you work with that are not even close, well, they're close to retirement age, but they're not really thinking about annuities or life insurance yet. Maybe you have a specific audience that you just have money under management. Well, you can set up specific drip campaigns for that audience, and you can specify the content based on that. As I mentioned earlier, recipes, lighthearted pieces are sometimes a good break for your contacts, just to be a little bit more personal. Maybe you share how you went with your son or grandkids to a baseball game or something like that, and how much you love the game of baseball, and how these players have accumulated lots of money over time, but most of the time that they don't know how to use or utilize those funds to guarantee that they can benefit them for the rest of their lives. And you can touch point on managing your money well and things like that. So it just really depends on what you're looking for in terms of that. And then you're the expert. You're the expert on whatever topic it is. Either if you're an annuity specific, if you're life specific, you're the expert. So it really comes down to what you want to mention. If you want to mention different tips or ideas, you can go really far in depth into it. You can kind of go far enough to the point where they would need to ask you to meet one day to have a consultation or something like that. So it just really depends on what you're looking for and what you're looking to get out of it. And one last one, industry trends that they need to know sometimes can be very helpful. And it can be helpful, like right now there's some volatility in the market, so just letting them know what's going on, keeping them in the loop of, okay, maybe cryptocurrency is not the best investment right now or something like that. So it just, you're the expert. You need to let your client know what's going on. And then just some closing thoughts quick. This is part of the greater strategy. As I showed before, the digital marketing funnel. So email marketing is just one piece of the puzzle, of the bigger puzzle. Start slow. You don't need to take on all of this right away. Maybe it's just one marketing automation campaign or one drip campaign that you create for email, and then that's all you do for email. That's perfect. But it's best to start with something. And remember, quality over quantity. If you buy a list and send to 10,000 people and get no responses or 2 responses, and then you send to a list of qualified leads just to 150 people and you get 0 or 1 or 2 leads off of that, well, the quality there is way better than quantity. And Google will see that, or other data management companies, Bing for Microsoft and stuff like that. They'll see, okay, this individual is just sending a lot of emails and they're not getting very many responses. And this individual, they're actually sending to people that want to receive their messages. So we are going to help them stay in the inbox and not become spam. And then I love this analogy of farming versus hunting. So drip campaigns are like hunting, or are like farming, pardon me. But doing a sales call, just going through a phone book and calling up people, that's hunting. So farming takes a little bit longer, but it can produce a steadier crop and it can provide for you more frequently. And eventually it becomes pretty easy if you get the process down and you know what's going on. You get into a routine and you just kind of go with the flow of things. While in hunting, sometimes there's nothing out there. Sometimes you're just calling and leaving voicemail after voicemail, and it's just not working. But digital marketing and drip campaigns specifically is more for the long game. It's more for cultivating your leads. It's more for maybe somebody that you spoke with once 2 years ago, gave you their email, but you haven't touched point on them since then. Well, an email marketing campaign is definitely the way to go if you want to warm that individual, that relationship back up into something that could turn into a client relationship. So I'll go over some questions right now. I see one or two that came in during the presentation. If you want to contact me, I'm here at IAMS Inc., 800-255-5055. You can also email contact@iamsinc.com so that if anybody in our team, if I'm gone, if I'm sick or something like that, anybody in our team can email you back. And if you want to email me specifically, there's my LinkedIn. You don't have to use those numbers at the end. LinkedIn.com/in/Josh Treecarton will work just fine. But I'll get into some questions here. So, is there a cost to the agent for this marketing service? For email marketing specifically, there is not. For consulting, there's no cost to the agent. So if you have some questions about email marketing, just in general, call in and I can speak with you and answer any questions that you have. For setting up an email marketing campaign, especially a drip campaign, that is somewhere where we would like to see some sort of production from the agent to be able to cover the in-house costs of that, because it is quite a bit time consuming to set these up. But once you set them up, you don't have to do anything. So that's the beauty of this. If you're willing to set aside some time for your email marketing, then you can just do it right away, and then you're free to go for a long time, and you're just good. So it looks like that's it. There's one more. How easy is it to set up these emails? So a lot of times there are email templates that you can just do. I know MailChimp has some templates for you, so they're pretty easy. A lot of times they'll have some sample copy, or not even sample copy, just some blank copy, and all you have to do is, it's kind of like Microsoft Word, where you just click in and then it will kind of fill in for you. Here's one more question. What about the content of the email while I'm supply the information? So I kind of touch point on the template through MailChimp. They design it for you, but they don't provide the content. But we can provide content a little bit. A lot of our turnkey solutions are already filled with content, and sometimes you can pull the content from that and just put that right into your email. So if you want Social Security info, IUL, policy, single premium life, anything like that, we can help you curate that content and build that out for you. So, well, looks like that's it. Thank you for joining today. I really appreciate your time, and I hope I didn't take too long for you. If you have any questions, feel free to call us, email us, or connect with me on LinkedIn. I would be more than happy to help you grow your business in any way. Thanks, and have a great day.